Another day, another story. Dear subscribers, please feel free to leave a comment below letting us know which book summary you would like to see next. Disclaimer: the book summary provided is based on my interpretation and understanding of the book. The views and opinions expressed in the video are solely my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the author, publisher, or any affiliated parties. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and should not be considered as a substitute for reading the actual book. Author Introduction. Fyodor Dostoevsky, 1821–1881, was a Russian novelist, philosopher, and journalist. His works, including Crime and Punishment, The Brothers Karamazov, and Notes from Underground, explored human psychology and the complexities of the human condition. His writing often examined themes of morality, guilt, and redemption, and he is considered one of the greatest writers in the Western literary canon. Summary, Part 1 of Crime and Punishment. Chapter 1. The novel begins with Raskolnikov wandering the streets of St. Petersburg, feeling isolated and impoverished. He is sharing his shabby apartment with a pawnbroker, Alyona Ivanovna, who he contemplates murdering. He introduces the concept of the extraordinary man, suggesting that certain individuals are above the law and can commit crimes if they are exceptional. Chapter 2. Raskolnikov is interrupted by the arrival of his former classmate, Dmitry Prokofyevich Razumihin. Razumihin serves as a contrast to Raskolnikov's introverted and brooding personality. Raskolnikov continues to develop his theory of the extraordinary man, and decides to go through with his plan to murder Alyona Ivanovna, believing that he is above the law and that the murder is justified. Chapter 3. Raskolnikov sets his plan in motion, but when he arrives at the pawnbroker's apartment, he is overcome with guilt and leaves without committing the murder. He encounters a young woman, Sonya Marmeladova, who is being forced into prostitution to support her family. Raskolnikov gives her money and is moved by her plight. Chapter 4. Raskolnikov's guilt begins to consume him, and he becomes increasingly paranoid and delusional. He has a feverish dream in which he witnesses a gruesome murder and is haunted by the image of a horse being beaten to death. These images serve as a metaphor for Raskolnikov's own guilt and the violence that he is capable of. Chapter 5. Raskolnikov's mental state deteriorates further, and he begins to suspect that he is being watched. He becomes fixated on a mysterious man who seems to be following him and grows increasingly paranoid. He decides to visit a police officer named Porfiry Petrovich to see if he is being investigated. Chapter 6. Raskolnikov visits Porfiry Petrovich, who seems to be aware of Raskolnikov's guilt. Porfiry engages Raskolnikov in a conversation about the theory of the extraordinary man, and Raskolnikov begins to suspect that he is being interrogated. Porfiry suggests that he may have evidence that could incriminate Raskolnikov. Chapter 7. Raskolnikov's mental state continues to deteriorate, and he becomes increasingly irrational and agitated. He becomes fixated on the idea of confessing his crime and turns to alcohol to numb his guilt. He has a tense encounter with his landlady, who is suspicious of his behavior. Chapter 8. Raskolnikov is visited by his sister, Avdotia Romanovna, Dunya, and her fiancé, Luzin. Raskolnikov is suspicious of Luzin's motives and grows increasingly hostile towards him. Raskolnikov also has a chance encounter with Sonya, the young prostitute, and feels a strong connection to her. Chapter 9. Raskolnikov continues to struggle with his guilt and becomes increasingly agitated. He encounters the mysterious man who he believes is following him and confronts him, but the man denies any involvement. Raskolnikov's mental state is in a state of turmoil as he struggles to come to terms with his guilt and the consequences of his actions. Moral. The moral of Crime and Punishment can be summed up in 3 lines. 1. Crime does not pay, and guilt can have severe consequences. 2. One cannot escape the consequences of their actions, no matter how justified they may believe them to be. 3. True redemption and moral rehabilitation require acknowledging one's mistakes and taking responsibility for them. Today's quotes. Don't be pushed around by the fears in your mind. Be led by the dreams in your heart. Roy T. Bennett. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with my latest content and be part of a community that shares your interests. Thanks for watching.